don't forget to click that subscribe and bell icon to receive a notification each time I upload a new video. Hi everyone, it's Mike here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I want to try and make a start on the Momigami journal. So let me turn over to my overhead camera. I'll introduce you to the journal if you haven't seen it before, and then I'm going to make a start by doing the cover of the journal this week. So this is the Momigami journal. So Momigami, if you're not quite sure what it is the Japanese art of paper kneading. So basically, these pages were all created from fragments of other pieces of paper and magazines. As you can see, they're all just pretty much just torn fragments, all glued down using a matte medium. And then, once the pages are dry, I've covered them in a moisturising solution. You can use oil as well if you want to. Traditionally it's oil, but I used a moisturising solution that had kind of oils and peppermint oil already embedded in it. And then you crunch the pages back up again to re-break the fibres to make them all kind of nice and soft, as you can see. So I did this last year sometime. Couple of months ago, and as you can see the pages are still lovely and supple. Somebody did suggest that the moisturiser might go rancid. It hasn't. It still smells beautifully of peppermint. So yeah, it's perfect. Nothing has gone wrong with it in those few months since I actually created it. Now if you want to watch how I created this journal, then I did do a two-part video, and I'll put one of those iCardy linky things up in the top right hand corner up there, so you can click on that, go back and watch that if you want to, or you can watch this bit first and then after you've watched this you can go back and watch it. I'll also link those videos, or one of the videos, the first video if you like, as one of the videos at the end of this one, and those little thumbnail windows that you can get at the end of the videos. Anyway, I'll link one there as well. So you'll have the iCards and you'll have that bit at the end if you want to go back and watch how I created this journal from scratch. Because it was done using magazine papers, and then the fragments were glued over the top of those magazine papers, apart from the covers, which were done on cardstock. But it's the cover that I want to concentrate on today. So I'm only going to do the front cover. I'm not going to do the back cover just yet. I want to do that on a separate occasion. So the front cover, because we've got all this fabulous kind of texture and underpapers that we've already got on the front, I don't really want to lose that completely by covering it with something else. So what I want to do first of all is to lay down a thin coat of white gesso to give me a bit of a canvas on which to work on. So you'll still be able to see all that lovely text in the background, but it will be knocked back. So to do that, I'm going to be using some IndigoBlu white gesso. So let me just grab the gesso and a paintbrush. I've got a biggish sort of paintbrush there. It doesn't really make any difference what type. And I'm just going to take some of the gesso, put it onto my craft mat, and then I've got a spritzer bottle full of water. I'm just going to add a little bit of water to it, which just thins it down slightly, which means you're going to get a bit of more of a white wash effect. And then I'm just going to start painting it over the front. Now I'm not going to be perfect with this because I kind of want it to disappear and blend. I want the edges of it to be uneven, just like the actual real pages are all uneven. And what this will also do, as well as giving us a nice kind of undercoat, it will also create a little bit of a barrier against the paper as well, so that if we add any colour on to it after we've put the gesso down, the paint won't soak directly into the paper. So we will have some movement with the paint, or any paints or any other colours that we add onto the page after the gesso's dried. So as you can see, we've just kind of run out a little bit of paint there, so let's just create some more. There we go. And like I said, I don't want crisp white kind of lines on the edges. I want it to stay kind of uneven. So when I first started thinking about doing this journal, I got an idea in my head as to what I kind of wanted to achieve, but I kind of stopped myself from thinking too much about what I wanted to do because I didn't want to overthink it. I wanted it to be more of a kind of intuitive process on getting everything down. So it's going to be a little bit of a wing it session today as well, which is a bit dangerous considering this is the front cover of the journal. Okay, so that's going to be the first layer of gesso that's down there. I'm going to dry it and then I'll have a look again to see whether or not I think it needs a little bit more. We'll make a determination once it's dry. The gesso's now dry, so if I just lift that up to the camera, you can see that there is that white coat over the top of it, but you can still see the texture underneath, which is exactly what I wanted to achieve with that. So I'm happy with that gesso layer. So the next thing that I want to do is to introduce some other colours into the background. So I've got some translucent paint. So this is a new colour from IndigoBlu. It's not been released yet. Taha, so you're getting a sneak peek of some of these colours now. So this is a translucent burnt sienna. It's brand new. Oh, look at that. Burnt sienna, which gives you a really nice kind of vintage vibe with these colours. And like I said, it's translucent, which basically means that it's see-through. So if I put a little bit down on the mat there and add a little bit of water to it, and then we can start adding in, it's almost like a vintage distress. But as you can see, you can still see the paper underneath. It's not a matte coverage, which basically means that it's absolutely perfect for adding a bit of kind of old-timey, vintage kind of vibe into that background. So I think these, there's a set of 6 new colours, which are all translucent colours. They're all kind of old-timey, and we've actually called them the Renaissance set. And I was involved in choosing the colours for this next set. So I'm really happy with, you know, the colours, the way they've turned out. What we actually wanted and what we actually got from the manufacturers, we were really happy with. So they kind of fulfilled that brief really, really nicely. So these paints will be being released, I think, either towards the end of January or in February, beginning of February. So look at that, you've got a really nice kind of grungy background, but you haven't lost any of that paper, the detail of that paper underneath. But because we've added the gesso, we are able to manoeuvre the paint in as much as, if I take a wet wipe now, even though that kind of like area is kind of dryish, see, if I just run the wet wipe over, it will lift and move the paint. And that's because we added the gesso. If we hadn't have done that, it would have just soaked straight into the paper. Cool. Okay, so that's the burnt sienna. Lovely. There's also, for the first time, a yellow ochre. I haven't got the label for this yet. I told you these were brand new. When I went to collect the labels, I'd forgot to pick up the one for the yellow ochre. Right, let me just have a quick tidy up there. In fact, I need to just dry that off really quickly, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is to add some stenciling using this yellow ochre paint. So I'm just going to give it a quick shake just to make sure that it hasn't... Oh, look at that colour. That's beautiful. Alright, so grab another paintbrush just so I can take some of that colour out of the pot. And again, this is translucent, so it can be layered, so you'll get that lovely kind of layering effect. I'll just drop that in there. So I want to stencil with this. I've got a piece of sponge and I'm going to pull in my honey stencil. So in its present form now, this honey stencil will be going away. It's currently out of stock on the website, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to reissue it in a different format. Okay, so let's start bringing in some of that honeycomb pattern. And like I said, because it's translucent, you will still see some of that writing that's coming up underneath. Really happy with that. So I'll do a little bit at this side. And bringing it across the bottom. Maybe just take it up a little bit there as well. Just lift off the last remaining bits of paint on my mat. Okay. I'm liking that. So what I want to do is I just want to dry those two bits off first, because I am going to add some more into the middle, but I don't want to do that while it's dry, while it's not dry. Or while it's still wet, if that makes more sense. Okay, so I've just taken a little bit more of that ochre paint. So I grab the stencil, and this time I'm going to lay it down. Just sort of eyeing up where the pattern is. It doesn't matter if it's perfect. I'm just going to layer in. And then I'm going to start adding it right the way through the middle. But going in a kind of diagonal pattern from corner to corner. Just diffusing. Going lighter towards the edges. There we go. Yes. Happy with that. Okay, so that paint is now dried. The page is still a little bit warm, but you can see, even though we've gone quite heavy with the stenciling, you can still see behind the paint the writing that's showing through, which is the beauty of those translucent paints. Okay, so the next step is I want to add some stenciling. So I've got one of my favourite stamps from IndigoBlu. So this is the script, or the background script stamp, and I'm not going to mount it on a block because I want an uneven finish. So I'm going to use Stays On Ganache, because my jet black has, strangely, it's just started to dry out after all this time. Now the reason I'm using the Stays On rather than a water-based ink is because I want it to stay in place. I don't want it to run at any point when or if I add any more colour over the top, which will happen if I used like a Tim Holtz or a Distress ink or any other water-based ink, if I added anything over the top of it, it would move. Whereas once this is dry, it won't do that. So we've got the stamp in there. I'm going to add some down here at the bottom. There we go, just peel that back. And then I'm just going to add a little bit just in that corner up there. And then just a very small touch just over here. There we go. So that's the script stamp from IndigoBlu. I'll put that to one side, and then I'm just going to give it a quick dry. So that stamping is completely dry now. So I'm going to put this journal to one side and bring out my trusty stamping platform. So I've got some cardstock. So I'm just going to stick this down. I shouldn't have done that. You heard the click. Yeah, and guess what's happened? Those two have stuck together. Right, let's just see if we can gently pull those apart without ripping the washi tape. There we go. And there's the other one. Right, so the next stamp set that I'm going to use is called Cinnamon Swirls, again from IndigoBlu. There we go. And it's these particular shapes that I want, the leaves and these kind of abstracty kind of flowers. So I'm going to take all three of those and the three leaves. Let's try and get as close together as we can, because I want to do these multiple times. That should do us, I think. Not that one just yet. So let me just close the lid. That's just going to pick those up quite nicely. And then we can start inking those up. I'm going to use the same ink as before, because I want it just to kind of be consistent across the board. Okay, let's do this real quick. Just missing a bit on that edge there. Let's just see if we can squeeze that in. Nope. Okay. Let's just re-ink it back up again. Everywhere else is okay. Now is this something? Ah, that's it. That's got it. Right. Okay. So just need to make sure that they're cleanish. So I'll just give them a quick once over. There we go. Don't normally clean my stamps, but in a situation like this, when you want to move them again, to stamp somewhere else, it's always a good idea just to give them a quick once over. That way, when you push down, you don't get any unwanted marks on your paper. But I'm sure most of you already know how to stamp. sure most of you are now seasoned professionals. I'm not stood up. I could stand, but I'm okay with that. That's fine. Right, let's just remove the card. I can always clean that up later. Right, I'm just going to give that a quick blast. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that the ink was dry before applying any other kind of colours onto there. Now you can colour these if you want to with pencils, with your pro markers, your Copic markers or Copic markers, or pencils, watercolour pencils, whatever. I'm going to be using some of those translucent paints again. I've pulled out some different ones, these ones that have already been released. So that's Racing Green at the top, Red Hot Chili, we've got Lime Marmalade, there's Daffodil, which has never been opened, actually quite a lot of these still haven't been opened, and Tiger Lily, which is the orange one. And I'm going to just randomly paint some of these on. Now, I've got a couple of small brushes because I want a little bit of modicum of control on these. So what I'm going to do is select for the red, give it a quick shake. Now what that does, it just mixes up any of the binder if it's separated, but also it gets you a little bit on your lid. So you can just take a tiny amount, and I'm going to get a little bit of water just to loosen it up just a tad. And then what I can do is I can start painting these colours kind of in the middle. But while they're still kind of wet, see if I grab that orange from the Tiger Lily, do a little dab, I can then come in and just blend that colour. See how it's just mixing really nicely. And yes, I am going outside the line. That is deliberate. I'll just pick up a little bit more of that Red Hot Chili. A little bit of water. That's it, just loosen it up a little. And we can go back in just over the top. But as you can see, you're not losing any of the detail from the stamp. Okay, so just to finish off on those, let's just open up that Daffodil. Wow, look how bright that is. That's a definite bright colour. And then the beauty of being able to layer these. Look at that. Gorgeous. And that's not a word I use very often. Just grab a little bit of that Tiger Lily just to take it. See if we can just mix directly onto the paper, I think. Let's go. Yeah. Love that. That's cool. Me likey, me likey. Let's grab some more of that Tiger Lily. Cool. A little bit more of that tiger lily there, and let's just layer. I mean, you can just pretty much have fun with these, can't you? And I'm going to do the same with the remaining 4. In fact, what I might do is I might go the exact opposite and then just start layering, because we can start with the yellow, add the orange, and then pick up the red, grab that yellow again, just start layering and blending. Okay, so now we've done those bits, I can put those 3 colours to one side, just clean that bit of my mat up, and then we can pretty much do very similar with what we've got with the greens. So, like I said before, so we've got 2 different coloured greens, racing green and lime marmalade. Just give them a bit of a shake up. Now I'm going for contrasts here. Obviously I'm going for a darker colour and then for a real wowy light colour. Just get my kitchen roll, dry my brush. A little bit of water. Don't really need a huge amount. So just pick up that dark colour and I'm going to start sweeping across. Don't worry about the fact I'm going outside the lines. These will get cut out. Okay, now while they're still sort of pliable, just quickly wash the brush. Now I'm going to grab the lime marmalade and go in from the other side. So that's actually sunk into the paper, which is fine. We did say we didn't want any kind of straight, smooth edges, didn't we? Right, so while that's still a little bit wet, go back in with the green. You see how I'm just helping just to kind of sort those kind of edges out a little bit. There we go. I'm happy with those. Okay, so we'll get them dried off, let them dry, and then I'm going to grab a pair of scissors and then I'm going to cut them out. Okay, so I've now cut all of my little flowers out and the leaves. Now, let me just show you. This is the reason why I said don't worry too much about getting in between the lines. I went outside the lines, so what I've done is I've actually incorporated that colour that we've gone outside the lines with. It just helps to kind of extend the size of the flower if you want. But also, if you're not great with cutting out, then it also doesn't mean you have to stick rigidly to that one part of it. If you look at the leaves as well, I've also left a little bit just of the border going all the way around the actual leaf as well. So if you have dexterity problems, either brought on by age, arthritis or drink, then it helps it helps if you haven't got a perfect line to stick to while you're cutting out, so you can get away with murder pretty much. Right, so let me just shove all those off, and then I need to grab some glue. So let me just go to the west wing quickly because I've left it on the other side of my desk. There we go. So I'm using Spirit Glue, so Yoo-hoo, made in Germany. So this is Spirit Glue, clear Spirit Glue. So you've got a little bit of wiggle room, and also you've got time to kind of manoeuvre stuff before it fully sets. Now I kind of had this in this kind of pattern, didn't I? So we'll do that, and then I can tuck the leaves underneath, open it out and add some leaves. Alright, so let's start with this one. I'm just going to go into the middle. Like, oh, I don't want to drip though. That's not good. Now occasionally I squeeze a lot of this Spirit Glue into one of those fine point applicator bottles. I think that was it, but I think I've left that one a bit too long. I think it might have actually set in there. But hey ho. Right, so give it a squidge. So this is what I mean about you've got wiggle room. So what that enables you to do is not only does it help just move the glue around underneath your cutout, but it also means you've got time to kind of position it where you want. So let me just grab some of that glue. And I'm not bothered about getting this completely flat. So let's just tuck that under there like so. And then grab that one from over there. Yep. There we go. Spin that round, and then I can just tuck that. Give it a wiggle. Okay. So then I can get the next one. And then we'll tilt that one so it's just behind there. Or shall we do it so it's on and over the top? Yeah, let's do it so it's over the top. And then we can take one of these leaves, and I think I'm going to stick that just in there like that. So we might end up just doing 2 items at once. So let's just put that there like so. And that can go there like that. Give it a squidge, jiggle it up and down, side to side. And we'll take this one. And we'll stick that one just so it's behind this time. And then we'll take that larger leaf yep, give it just a quick rub, and then we've got one final flower that will stick up here, I think, and then we can tuck in a couple of those leaves, maybe just like that. Yeah, I'm kind of happy with that little cluster. So stick that down like that, then I'll just grab some glue. Yep. Tuck that under. And a little bit of glue there. Right. So I've got a little bit of time before it's going to grab. Give that a quick wipe up. The good thing about this spirit glue as well is if you do get any on your worktop, you can just rub it and it just goes like a little piece, like a little rubber ball. Right, so lift that leaf up there. Yeah, I'm happy with that kind of little cluster. And the beauty is, if you want to add any more later on, then you can just stamp a couple more and add a few more on. So, I'm going to leave that to dry for a few minutes, and then I'll be right back. So they're pretty much drying in place now. So the next thing I want to do is I want to use this IndigoBlu giant bee stamp, as you can see. So I've already mounted it to my stamp platform and put some cardstock in there. So we're going to use the same colour as before, which was the ganache. And we'll just stamp, make sure we get a decent overall coverage. There we go. And of course, the beauty of these stamp platforms is if you don't get the perfect first impression first time, you can go back and do it again, but I'm happy with that. I don't think I need to do that again. Well, actually, yes, I do need to do it again, don't I? Silly me. Right. I've also got a sheet of vellum here. Let's just do... try and get this down quickly. So this is pretty much like tracing paper. It's not very thick. You can see through it, as you can see. So let me just go over the wings. There we go. And just stamp down onto that vellum beautifully. Just what I wanted. Okay, so I just need to leave this to dry for a minute or two, and then I'll be right back. So while the parchment is drying, this bit has already dried nicely. So I'm just going to come back in with some of that yellow ochre translucent paint, the new yellow ochre paint. And I'm just going to take a tiny amount, a little bit of water. You really aren't going to need a whole lot of paint for this next bit, because there's not a huge amount for you to actually go and paint. Just a little bit, just a tad thicker. But like I said before, with it being translucent, you really don't lose any of the detail in your stamp. Just water that down a little bit. There we go. And then while that's still kind of pliable, I'm going to bring in that tiger lily. Just take a little bit from the top. Just add a little bit, just a tiny little bit of shading. A tiny little bit of three-dimensionalism. Not a huge amount, but just enough. Just grab a little bit more of that yellow ochre. There we go, I think. Okay, I'm now going to just let that dry just for a few minutes. Give me a chance to tidy and clean up, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I decided that I wanted to do a couple more leaves just down here at the bottom, just to kind of finish off that little bit just down there, because it just didn't look finished to me. So I'm just going to grab, so all I did was just stamp a couple more of those leaves, and then just got the paint out, just literally just went back over what I was doing previously. So I'm hoping that I should just be able to lift, yeah, we should just be able to lift up the underside of that flower there. Let me just see if I've got a sharper blade that's going to allow me to do that. So let me just, should just allow me to let that slide under a bit more. There we go. See, there's always a way. So that's one, and then we'll just use that knife just to make sure, yeah, put plenty of room underneath there anyway, so. Add a touch glue. And then just slide that one just under there like that. If we've got just enough wiggle room, I'll just twist that around a bit more. That's more like it. Yeah. I'm kind of happier with that bunch of flowers there. Okay, so the bumblebee, you saw me stamp. You know when I've said previously in other videos that ain't nobody got time to sit and cut out antenna? Yeah, I know. Yeah, it took me about 25 minutes to do. But today I have time to do antenna. But those vellum wings will also look absolutely stunning, because you will be able to see the plant underneath, or the flowers underneath. So what I want to do is first of all just add a little bit of glue just onto the back of the bumblebee, like so. And then I can take the wings, just use that scalpel, and just lay those wings just in place, like so. And just take a little bit of the glue and just add it on top of the vellum. And I can flip the bumblebee over. Now before I turn it over and add some glue, I do want my little bottle of precision glue. Should make sure it is, there we go. So what I want to do is just add a little bit onto the legs. and just a little onto the antenna. But I'm going to leave the wings. So hopefully now I can flip this over and just gently lay that down in place. But I'm going to leave the wings. So I need to put something heavy and flat on that. So let's see, what have I got? That'll do. I can turn that over. No, it's not really heavy. Oh, I need something really heavy. Oh, there we go. That should do for that. And that should do just for that side there. And then, have I got anything else? That should do. Right, I'm going to leave that for a few minutes and then I'll be back. Okay, so the bumblebee has stuck down, but the wings, yes, the wings. The wings are everything. Okay, so I just want to add one little quote to my page on the front cover before we go on. So I'm going to be using my stamp set, General Phrases 2. I'm going to be using the Don't Forget to Fly bit. So I'm going to just use one of my Skinny Mini stamping blocks. So the larger of the three. That'll do. And then use the same ink as previously. Actually, I've done something a bit wrong there, haven't I? Right, what I need to do first of all, I want to paint it first. So let me just grab a pencil. There to there, that'll do. That's all I need to know. Just leave that for now. I'm jumping the gun here, aren't I? Right, where's that daffodil? We like that daffodil paint a lot. So let's just grab that bigger brush. Or should we use the ochre? Now let's use the ochre. Seeing as that's the new boy, the new kid on the block, and I've managed to get it on my finger already, look. Yeah. Right, what was I doing? Oh yeah, paintbrush. Just clean off one of my paintbrushes that I used earlier. Grab some of that yellow ochre paint. And then let's just go over onto this cardstock. There we go, I like that. I like the fact that you can see some brush strokes in there, makes it a bit painterly. Let's dry that off. Yeah, just making sure that that lid's on first. That paint's now dry. So let's just go back over again once more time with that because it's been a few minutes and it may just have dried out a tad. Okay, so let's just lay that down in the middle. I'm not going to rock it too much because my shakiness should do it for us. Oh, and that's looked rubbish. I've squidged it too hard. Right, okay, let's get that stamp block. This is what happens when you try too hard. Let's stick that back under there. There's still enough of the paint to be able to get it another have another go at it. Just clean the stamp off first. There we go. Bit of tissue. Okay, let's start again. Have we got enough room to do it above? Probably got enough room to do it above. Right, okay. That should be enough. Perhaps I over-inked. Who can say? There we go. Down once and up. Job's a good one. Talk about over-egging the pudding. Right, let's get that dry. Right, now we've got that, let's liberate it from the one underneath that we really don't want. Okay, so now we can start to just cut those down. I'm just using the top of the letters just to kind of guide where to cut. And I think that just added there on that text, just about there. Let's put those skinny minis away. Okay, grab some glue, but do we need to go around the edge first? Yeah, let's do that. Let's just grab some ground espresso. I thought this was vintage photo, which means the vintage photo is out on loan somewhere. Yeah, I wonder where. Right, so I can use water-based inks here because I'm not going to be going over the top with any other colour now. This is pretty much it. So don't forget to fly. Which seems appropriate, since we've got a bumblebee. That kind of brings that in, doesn't it? I think I will go around the outside with a Stabilo oil pencil as well. Yeah, just to add another little bit of shade. A bit more of a pop. I'll activate that with a small brush in a little while, but also I'm just going to add just a little bit under here, just to kind of give that a little bit of depth and dimension too, but just on these bottom ones. Okay. Let's just get that small brush. Make sure there's no lime marmalade on there. Right, so we'll do this one first. In fact, tell you what, Let's have some water down there. So with these Stabilo oil pencils, the more water you add, the kind of more diffused those shadows will work out to be. So if you watch this one, that will dry quite light. So if I add a bit more water there, look, I should be able to make that disappear off into infinity. There we go. Just a light shadow with that pencil. That's all it really takes. And then with this, again, just add a little bit of water and then you can wick it away. Do that on all four sides. Tiny little bit of water. Just creates a little bit of shadow. Tiny bit of dimension. And just got that last one there. I nearly forgot about that one over there, didn't we? There we go. That will do. Right, I'll just get it dry and then I'll be right back. So there you go. There's my front cover to my new Momigami journal. I'm quite pleased with the way that's turned out, and the fact that we've got flappy wings on the bumblebee, I think just is the icing on the cake, if you'll pardon the mixed metaphor. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create my front cover to that Momigami journal. If you have, please remember to give the video a thumbs up, as it really does help me get my channel found by people who have not yet found me. So, you know, clicking that like button really does help. So also don't forget to share the video to all your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me for now. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. And don't forget to check out your exclusive angel-only content over on my website. Thank you.